can reach us up. Yes, so I hear. That has worked somewhere. You as well?
Oh, yeah.
Really? What are you talking about?
So it's bored.
Well, I've been waiting to
Probably not still that. No, dying, what pathetic attitude.
It would be Obama.
No, I didn't want it. Anyone else used to think.
Welcome back. Thank you. Well, I'm going to start the second half with some poems from my new collection, which is called Looking for Eden, and it's on sale here tonight. This first one I wrote after a visit to Cuba. While we were in Havana, we went to John Lennon Park in Havana, where there's a wonderful statue of the great man lounging in bronze on a park bench. And as you go into the park keeper comes towards you and asks if you would like him to put a pair of spectacles on John Lennon's face so you can be photographed sitting alongside the ex-Fab. And the reason there's a park keeper there with the spectacles is because in the past tourists have taken them home as souvenirs. But I thought how fantastic it is that Cuba finds work for somebody to keep, or to be the keeper of John Lennon's glasses. So, out of the shade steps the keeper of John Lennon's glasses, slips them over the ex-Beatles' bronze ears. I shove up next to the great man, put my arm around his shoulders, made too warm by the heat of the sun. You capture the moment when I meet John Lennon's likeness in Havana, a life-size casting on a bench, one leg draped casually over the other. I attempt to swap specs, but the keeper wags his finger. I take a moment to bless John for his life in my life. I place a coin in the keeper's palm in recognition of the sacred task he has been appointed so to do. It's not every day you meet the keeper of John Lennon's glasses. Let me take you down. I live in South London near a place called Merton Abbey Mills, which has a wonderful market at the weekend, and in the market there's a farmer's market within it where a guy called Keith Cook for many years has been selling wonderful fresh produce and cheeses and so on, and at the age of I think about 76 or 77 he's finally retiring, so this is in honour of Keith and 2 veg. Keith has real earth under his nails and he knows where it comes from. Look, he says, producing a handful of fine soil as we choose spuds. You know they're going to be right when they're grown in this. A sack of carrots brings dew to his eyes. Mr. Wright, he says, was growing these in the fens when I was a boy. We bag up some dusty russets. Keith says the weather has been slow for fruit. Last year the chaffinches in his garden hatched twice by now. A bottle of juice from the orchard completes our shop. Keith throws in a bit extra because he's a decent sort. Can you use a loaf? Some mushrooms? That night we eat Keith's veg, well buttered, food that tastes of seasons that comes from somewhere not too far away, flavours emerging through a slow-cooked, perfect day. Just adjusting my clothing, you'll see why as the set progresses. So this is slightly continuing at the Valentine's theme, this is about time in your life when you're young and you're in a job you don't like, but a lot of the agony of that is taken away by the fact you fancy someone in the office or the workplace you're in, which makes every day a treat. This is called The Pregnant Girl. We were young, in jobs we didn't care for, pushing pens for a mail order catalogue. Being young cancelled the distraction of work. She was blonde, pale as a corn meadow. I was a dark wraith inhabiting my body before Fat Elvis moved in. Sparks and electricity flew across the office. The taut chain of attraction commanded the airwaves between us. I took her to the pub one lunchtime. There the agony unfolded. She was pregnant, already committed. I wanted to take her right there. I knew she felt the same. We gazed bleakly at our beers. She offered me a roller. Sun streamed through Victorian windows, illuminating dust on shelves and sills. She smiled ruefully, bony fingers tense with the conflicts in her life. She bit her lip until a corner paled against the plush, sweet redness of the rest. We should go back, she said. How different things might have been. I could have said, dump the boyfriend, I'll father your baby. But I didn't. I left the moment to recede. I left the past right there. Last week Pete and I did a gig at a venue in Merton Abbey Mills, a little Chinese restaurant called Lily's Tea House, and we were celebrating the Chinese New Year, which was the 10th of February, and we're in the year of the snake now. And so I wrote this poem for the evening, and it's called The Darkest Stars, and it was inspired by the fact that since 2009 more than 100 Tibetans have self-immolated. Many of them are young monks and nuns, and most have died from their injuries. And obviously they're protesting against the continued Chinese domination of their country. Through these flames we seek freedom, our immolated flesh singeing darkest stars. Our voice is speaking, listeners recoil at this challenge to our rude imprisonment, the scorching of our precious soil, our exiled leaders' eloquent resistance. As a new year turns, spare a prayer for us, set it spinning on your wheel, understand our desperate plea, our reddening anger, our white-hot steel. Thank you very much. There seems to have been a theme emerging tonight of remembering parents who died. And another anniversary this week would have been my mum's birthday on Monday. And one of the things she really liked to do was to look out of her window and gaze at the moon, particularly full moons. And I wrote this after we'd been out to celebrate one of her birthdays, just called Birthday Moon. The moon is out for your birthday, radiant and still it stands, a magnificent round of applause beaming on the gutter eaves. We look up, are struck by our youth, our tiny lives magnified for a shining moment. We are stars that closed with the earth. We are stars for tonight. So we're now in the year of the snake, and unfortunately I couldn't find any poems about snakes, so I've got one about trout. I'm waiting for the year of the trout, I don't know when that's... This is my first trout poem, not perhaps a long one, This is because my knowledge of trout is severely limited. I sometimes eat rainbow trout, but am not familiar with their natural habitat. This is because I live by a railway siding, many miles from fresh water. Still, trout have been familiar with my small kitchen. Their gutted spines and pop-eyed heads have added resonance to my dustbin. I've placed trout alongside croquet potatoes, red cabbage, sweet corn. I've pitied trout in the pan, wondered to what purpose were they born. This is my first trout poem. I'm hoping to keep one as a pet. It can live in the bath, and once a month I'll take it to the vet. Oh, I wish I were a trout, leaping in the river, not a frozen fish in Sainsbury's, competing for attention with sausages and liver. I'm going to finish with this one. It's called An Old Revolutionary Never Dies. I no longer man the barricades, but I haven't lost the way. Instead, I allow a garment to vent my discontent. I wear Che Guevara underpants to the office every day. They're inside my trousers now, doesn't mean that's where they'll stay. Like revolutionary hearts waiting to be awoken, my Che Guevara pants are far more than a token. They'll become a flag of freedom when the walls come tumbling down. I'll fly them from the boss's door when we gun him down at dawn. Then line up all the jokers who wear comedy ties to work. That revisionist Mickey Mouse was always such a jerk. Under Che Guevara underpants we'll sing the people's flag, hum the Internationale as we march the old main drag. We'll kick out all the suits, we'll liberate the loot, we'll unlock the vaults and legalise a toot. So quietly flows the vanguard, you won't see us sneaking up until our boot breaks down the door and we raise the triumphal cup. Us revolutionaries never go away. Like the poor, we're always here, awaiting the right moment to raise the pants that cheer. Like the hearts of poets, waiting to be awoken, my Che Guevara underpants are far more than a token. There you are, great technical expertise there. Produce a rabbit from the next time.